So with that all bent now, I did find there was a little bit of a problem. When we get our little rod, right, that we've got with the kit, we press that through. However, I did find that actually it was really hard and it won't go through, and what I actually had to do was get out the appropriate drill size, right, and actually kind of just lightly sort of score in there. I mean, we're not after kind of drilling and making the hole really, really big. We're just after kind of just like a little, you know, just the perfect size. I forget what this was. I think it was like a 1 mil maybe, or a 0.8 mil or something. But you'll find out. And then we can actually thread this through. We want to bring this through so it just pops out the other side by a little smidge, right, as they all seem to be. And then what we want to do is cut this nice and precisely, so we just leave a little bit hanging out either side, and then do it in my hands just so as I don't like shoot them off everywhere. And we should have the right size just here, which then we can actually place the wheels inside with a little bit of a difficulty and thread this through, right? And we do the same the opposite side. Now it was a little bit of a fiddly bit of photo etch to do there, but hopefully, as you can see there, you know, it's all nicely glued together. Took a little bit of time, but there we go. And all we've got to do is glue it onto the back just there. Probably sort of spray that up black as well. Probably maybe something like a cocktail stick with a bit of blue tack on the end. Obviously sort of like put it on the end where we're going to glue it to the model, so we don't have to worry about that not being sprayed, and then take it off and glue it on. We're now going to be getting in close on this one, so I'm going to try and get as close as I can with the camera. Now what we want to do is make these just here. I've done one already. What we want to do is get some of this wire. We do seem to have an ample amount of this wire. The instructions do ask you to cut off about 5 centimeters or 50 millimeters. I would recommend maybe going an extra centimeter, a little bit more, right? Because the one I just did, I felt like I needed a little bit more to play with, right? So I'm just going to get just cut off around about 6 centimeters just here. Well, actually no, one thing you might want to do first is in the wire, you might see there's all sorts of kinks and everything going on. Not a bad idea to get your ruler first, right, hold it with your finger just there, and then just at an angle here, just sort of rip it through like so. It does curl up, but it gets rid of all those little kinks in the wire, right? And then what we want to do is cut this off at about, say, 6 centimeters. I know it's a bit curly at the moment, but let's just get this cut and I'll show you how to get it nice and straight. So there we go. So we've got this little piece now. What we want to do is get in our ruler like so, right? Maybe try and sort of get most of the bend out. Let's just try and pull it straight with our hands first. Get it as straight as we can. And then what we want to try and do is with the ruler, if we sort of roll it like so and run it up and down the wire, what's really cool about doing this motion is it gets it really sort of nice and straight and gets a lot of the kinks out of it, right? Just to make it a little bit more neater on the model just there. What I want to do is get one of these eye bolts. Right, maybe get you in a little bit close. Get one of these eye bolts, and we want to thread this through and have it about halfway through like so, and then maybe sort of once you get it halfway through, sort of maybe bend it up a little bit. Then this is where we need to get some sort of pliers or something to hold this in place. Right, now what we're going to do, we're going to go right up to the eye bolt as much as possible, right, like so. So the eye bolt's just pinching out just there. Then what we want to do is come in with some more pliers. I don't have any, so I'm just going to use some what are these? These are these bending pliers by Tamiya, but if you've got 2 sets of pliers, feel free. And what we want to do is maybe try and bend this a little bit more straighter. This is going to take a little bit of time. This is really sort of fiddly, but you want to try and twist this now, slowly but surely. Try and sort of twist this round to really make a nice tight twist on it. So hopefully, as you can see there, we've got a nice bit of a twist just on there. Maybe just now sort of press that in a little bit. Try and get about 2 twists as you can. I think I might have done 3, but you know, 2 is probably what you're aiming for. So we now want to get our wooden block just here. So let's get you in close. What you're after is these 2, the ones with the 2 holes. You don't want it to go around that way. You want it to go around the opposite way, like so. Now this is very sort of fiddly, but you want to press it in as much as possible. And it's a bit tricky, but you want to press it in as much as possible and get it to just wrap around and then just pinch the top. Right, so it's sort of wrapped around like that. Then what you want to try and do is trying to keep it nice and central, is then come in again with your pliers and try and twist it round, and hopefully by twisting this nice and tightly, it'll bring it nice and tightly to the model, to the block itself as well. Right, probably about 2 twists should do just that. Right, and then that does look now good. As you can see, it looks nice and tight around there. That's a bit fiddly, but you get it tight as you can, and then when you twist it with the pliers, it should sort of like tighten it round, fingers crossed. Then we want to make a loop, so we're going to get out these circular bending pliers that are just here, which we can sort of now make a shape. And the shape we're after is like an eyelet. Now it's not very clear on how you kind of bend it and stuff, so I'm just going to show you how I went about it. It might not be the right way, but it gets us a nice eyelet. Right, so what we're going to do is, in between our 2 pieces of wire, we're going to come in. Right, admittedly, these that you actually get with the HMS Victory are probably a little bit too thick in diameter. Could probably do with like smaller ones to have the sort of the same eyelet size as our little brass bit here, but we'll get it as close to the tip as possible. And what we want to do is press one end like that, press them in quite nice and tight, and then what we want to do is start to wrap both ends around. Right, maybe come in with the pliers, because it is neater if you can get this as tight as possible. So coming in with pliers and, like, you know, give it a little bit of force either side to start making this bit of a round eyelet just here. Right, and then you want to take off a bit of the pressure, bring it around, right, so as then now you can sort of wrap this more all the way around, so you at least go around once with each one of these wires. But as I say, you're going to have to probably come off so as you can wrap it round. So let's get the second one around. Sorry if I'm not quite getting you on camera here, but you've got to really sort of take your time and get in the right position and concentrate, so I do apologise. Right, so I'm going to wrap this one around as well, like so. So now we've got them wrapped around and we've got a bit of an eyelet going. Sorry if we're not focusing, probably because we're getting in quite close. But what you want to do now is actually, you've got these 2, ow, that's stuck right into my finger. What we want to do now is actually wrap these around, and again, it's always good to keep on pulling and keeping tight. So I'm now wrapping this wire around once. I'll see if I can get you in close as possible with the second one, right, because this one's done now. And what we want to do is now wrap this around, sort of pulling at the same time. Sorry, I'm not focusing. I'm trying to get you in as close as possible with the camera, maybe out a little bit more. So for that camera's going to get this now. And as I say, I'm pulling it and then I'm just wrapping it around that eyelet, just that once, like so. So then what we should be able to do now is, if we remove that, we have made ourselves a nice little eyelet. Then we could come in, I've got some Tamiya cutters here, also good for soft metal and stuff. And what I want to do is cut as close as possible to make this as neat as possible, and cut these little bit of excess off. Right, and there we go, we've made our own little eyelet out of a bit of wire, and there's our piece like so, which I've then gone off and painted some black on there. Right, and then just like I've shown you, we'll then obviously come along and glue these in the last positions on our carronade just here, to then basically finish it off. Just like so. Now, as a little tip as well, I have been finding, because we are starting to paint metal here, acrylic paints don't seem to do so well painting on metal. Have been trying to use the 057 by Model Air Vallejo. I have found, you know, this is the one time I'd probably get out my enamel paints. I'm using Matte 33 by Humbrol here. Enamel paints, I know they're a bit sort of potent and everything, but they do paint a lot nicer on metal parts. So probably good to use those kind of paints when painting metal parts.